Central City has a rich history in the Colorado Gold Rush. So let's take a walk through time and through the town of Central City. In 1859, John Gregory followed Clear Creek upstream looking for gold. As he pulled a low tree branch out of the way, he began to pan the creek. He discovered what was later called the Gregory Lode, located in a gulch between what later became Central City and Black Hawk. A little over a year later, there were between 20 and 30,000 people living in and around the lode that Gregory had discovered. That was so rich in ore, it became known as the richest square mile on Earth. By April of 1860, the Rocky Mountain News reported the immigration is coming in at a rate of over 100 men per day and constantly increasing. The Teller House was built between 1871 and 1872 by brothers Henry and Willard Teller. Now, it is one of the oldest and most important buildings in Central City, and at the time it was built, it was considered the finest hotel west of the Mississippi. In fact, President Ulysses S. Grant came to stay there one night in 1873. It reached its peak around 1890 and began a slow decline. But in 1932, Denver Post staff artist Herndon Davis painted the famous face on the barroom floor. The Central City Opera House opened in 1878 and was considered one of the finest opera houses on this side of the country. But it soon fell into decline, just like everything else in the town. But in 1932, it was restored, and the legendary actress Lillian Gish opened the newly restored opera house with the opera Camille. Other performers have included Beverly Sills, Jerome Hayes, and Helen Hayes. There is still a Central City Opera Festival every summer. Getting back to the early years, Central City was named the county seat of Gilpin County when it was first organized in 1861. And by 1860, however, the easy pickings of the gold were over. The mining became extremely difficult because you had to dig into the rock to extract the ore. In those early years of 1861, Central City recorded 217 fistfights, 97 revolver fights, 11 Bowie knife fights, and 1 dogfight. But amazingly, no one was killed. We all know that mining is dangerous work, but in 1893 and 1895, different mines tapped into an underground water reservoir that was not known of, and unfortunately 14 miners lost their lives, and the flooding went through the streets of Central City and had to be cleaned up. Now, see here the pictures of some of the funerals of those killed in those disasters. Now, obviously, I'm a huge fan of Colorado history. I've been going up to Central City since the 1970s, and I've watched it slowly be changed from an economy based on tourism to an economy based on mining and of another kind, gambling. When this limited stakes gambling first started, everybody expected that the little mom and pop shops would put in some, one-armed bandits in their shops just to attract some people up there. Nobody expected that it would turn into a Las Vegas-style gambling mecca with sky-rise and high-rise buildings like the ones that are built in Blackhawk now. Central City has done a great job of keeping its heritage and still working within the gambling that it's required to compete. However, Blackhawk has become the mecca of gambling because it's the first place that you get to coming up the valley. So much so that Central City had to build its own highway off of I-70 to bring people into their side so that their businesses can thrive. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this trip down memory lane and maybe you learned a thing or two. Keep watching for my next video, and again, thank you very much.